Blessed be the strength of Yahuwah, who teaches my hands to war and my fingers to fight. Greetings, Israel, Judah. This is your brother DFG. How many of our brothers and sisters are familiar with the story of Rip Van Winkle? If you're not, let me give you a quick little synopsis of it. Then I'm going to get into the reason for my sharing with you on this sixth day as we enter the day, our day before we go into Shabbat. But Rip Van Winkle, if you're not familiar with that story, and I suspect if you're gray-beard or gray-haired brothers and sisters, you probably know a little bit about Rip Van Winkle. But I think, you know, as I shared with you Psalms 144, I think that this little fable ties in very well with it. You see, Rip Van Winkle was a man, a laborer. You know, he worked in the Catskills, that's in the mountains of New York. And he lived a pretty simple life. Most people would have called him a simple-minded guy, not complicated. Just kind of got up every day, did what he was supposed to do, you know, took care of his basic responsibilities, and for the most part didn't pay much attention to what was going on, you know, around the world. And due to his life of humdrum or boredom, so to speak, you know, his wife, Dame Van Winkle, would nag him. She's known for nagging him, and not going there, brother. So we're not talking about our sisters here. Talking about Rip Van Winkle, and some of you maybe. Let's see. But the moral of the synopsis of the story is that in his boredom, he decided to go take a walk. And as he was walking, he ran into these 9 little dwarfs. And they were sitting up under a tree, and they shared a drink with him. And in sharing of that drink with him, he became intoxicated, and he fell asleep. And he slept for 20 years. 20 years he went into a dull sleep. Wasn't aware of anything that was going on around him. You know, the world had changed. When he fell asleep, the colonies were still being led by King George. And when he finally awakened, George Washington had become president of the United States. And he never even knew that a change, or better said, a revolution had happened. Okay? And the reason I bring up this particular story, because, you know, a revolution is happening right now. It's happening all over this earth. We call it a judgment. Yah is judging this flat earth. Yah is judging the world. And most of our people, I'm talking about Israelites now, I'm going to come right in onto my brothers and sisters. I love you, so I have to tell you the truth. Is that also many of our brothers and sisters are sleeping through a revolution. And what do I mean by sleeping through a revolution? In times of war. That's what I mean. For the last 20 years, the drumbeat of war has been going on all over this flat earth. And many of us have been warning you, many of you, our brothers and sisters, family members, friends, acquaintances, co-workers, hey, prep, get yourself together. Something is going to go down. And guess what, brothers and sisters? Now we're at that time, and it is about to go down. You know, there's this turmoil that's going on in Israel and the West Bank right now. It brings to mind Psalms 83. Oh, and by the way, I hope I gave you a good summary of Rip Van Winkle, meaning that don't be caught asleep in a revolution. You have to be awakened now. You have to be paying attention, brothers and sisters. And the best way to really know what's going on, my brothers and sisters, is to not spend your time looking at the news. Focus on Yah's word. Focus upon Yah's people, your brothers and sisters. True Israel, not those who live in the state of Israel. If there was ever a time for you to turn back or renew, enrich your relationship with Yahuwah, this is the time. If there was ever a time, you know, for you to repent, simply means turning away from folly, foolishness, or things that may have you. The reason that maybe even better said, the reason why you're sleeping through a revolution. Because many of our people are not prepared for what's coming. When they see what's going on in the Middle East, they kind of look at it like that's another man's problem. Why should I concern myself with that? Well, I can give you a couple of reasons. Because what's going on over there directly is going to impact you indirectly, because of the fact that's where all of your goods, consumer goods, flow through that area. Suez Canal, the Strait of Hamas, the Mediterranean, all of those are prime locations for freight. Those who control those waterways more or less control the economy, brothers and sisters. And right now, because of BRICS and BRICS expansion, all of those countries, as you heard me say, almost 9/10 of the population are going to be a part of a confederacy, confederate countries. And for the most part, they're going to cut off the West. Just like they're cutting off, the Palestinians right now. And I don't want to, I'm going to take my time and get through this, but I'm not going to be long. But I don't want to be all over the board. I want you to follow me, okay? But those BRICS countries, with the addition of, Ethiopia, the addition of Egypt, the addition of Saudi Arabia, the United Emirates, all of those, if you think about it, those are all rich, petroleum-rich countries. What has backed up the dollar for America? Petroleum, oil. And if you didn't know that, if you were not asleep, or if you've been sleeping through a revolution, then I want you to, I'm going to remind you of something. Let's say it that way. The dollar hasn't been backed up by anything but petroleum, guys, now for almost 50 plus years. All backed up the dollar. And the reason all was able to back up the dollar because America had went into agreement with the oil-rich countries, Saudi Arabia, United Emirates. Those same countries now who are saying no longer, and what they were allowing America to do was to charge all the rest of the world, whenever they wanted to buy oil, they had to take their currency and buy American dollars to buy that oil. And in return, America was getting interest on their dollars because they were buying American dollars. They were buying oil with American dollars. And America and the oil-rich countries, Saudi Arabia, United Emirates, OPEC, came to that agreement that they would funnel all of the business to them, and in return they would sell their product with dollars only. And so instead of us being on a gold standard, which is what we should have been, we were on a black gold petroleum standard. And now Saudi Arabia, OPEC countries have decided, no deal. We're not doing that anymore. What we want is a currency that's backed up by gold, a guaranteed currency, which America does not possess because America doesn't have any gold that we know about. The backup is dollar. Therefore, you saw the undermining of Libya with Gaddafi, the undermining of Kuwait with Saddam, because those men were sitting on, hundreds of thousands of tons of gold. And, the Zionists, or whoever they call, the black hand, not talking about Israelites, they went in and, pretty much started an uprising, rebellions in those countries, conflict, and overthrew those countries, let the people overthrow the country, let those people overthrow their own countries. But those rebellious soldiers were being financed by the West, United States included. And of course the nation of Israel had to play their part. And therefore, it was a case of robbery, straight up robbery. And that's how the rich got their gold, the West, the Zionists. And I'm sure a couple of other cohorts that we don't know anything about. And again, this is important, brothers and sisters, because if you don't understand why they're fighting, then you're going to be like Rip Van Winkle and not be paying attention. This fight is about resources. This fight is about the survival of rich men at the expense of poor men. So when you look at what's going on right now in Palestine, where, Israel has gone in and cut off their power, cut off their water, cut off their, energy, all of their natural resources. Now these people are about to fall into a humanitarian crisis, unlike anything we've probably seen since the things that were going back in Somalia and stuff in the 80s and the 90s. I'm talking about real suffering. And what makes it even worse right now that this stuff is going on, you got your president, Biden, who declared yesterday that they're going to send $100 billion to the Ukraine and to Israel to support them. Now they're going to, Israel is defending itself against a terrorist group, Hamas, all right, who's been around, that was actually the government, of Palestine. So we've sent 2 aircraft carriers over there for Hamas. And now we're about to send Israel $40 billion. And another $60 billion to the Ukraine. Brother, this is what I mean by we got to wake up, brothers and sisters. Because this is the same country who threatened to shut down recently because they did not have what? Money. Because they were spending money that they did not have. This is why, McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, that's why he got fired. Because he made a deal, and to give some funds so that the government would shut down. So the same government who claimed that they didn't have enough money to keep your military going, your Social Security going, all of those who depend on the government, some justly, who are about to shut the government down because the government doesn't have the money, somehow or another pulls out $100 billion and sends it into 2 countries. Well, unless you don't know anything about anything or being controlled by Zionists. It is what it is, brothers and sisters. And you can look up Zionists, and it's not, Zionists are just not the Jewish, the people who are pretending to be the people of the book. No, those are the rich elite who control the governments of this world. They're the puppet masters. Biden is a puppet. But we're being played as American citizens. Because here it is, no money for the poor, no money for the homeless, no money for government workers, no money even for American soldiers. But somehow or another, there's $100 billion to split up between Khazarians. Yeah, because Ukraine is full of fake Jews too, just so you know. What's his name? Their president? Jewish, in case you all didn't know that. He's a Ukrainian Jew, just so you know. So to fix this in, now let me go back one step. I bring up the whole thing with Palestine. Brothers and sisters, if they cut off all of those waterways, cut off all of that freight, because they're going to have to do something, because again, the power block, the new power block is stronger than NATO. And for them to be able to neutralize that power block, they got to have a war. They got to start chaos. Psalms 83 talks about it. He said what? He said because they hate Yahuwah and his people, they have created confusion on the earth. And again, you might look at that with Brother DFG, what does that have to do with us? Brother, there's an old saying, when America catches a cold, black man gets pneumonia, or the Israelite gets pneumonia or catches pneumonia. What I'm saying to you is what you see going on in Palestine, how they cut off all of the resources because they're at war. Now, how does one country have the power to cut off another country's resources? How that's not a violation of the Geneva Convention or what have you? Who's to say? But again, if you make the rules, I guess you get a chance. You can always break the rules. And just like they are doing whatever they want to do to the Palestinians over there, and trust me, brother, I'm not a bleeding heart, for heathens fighting heathens. That's not what I'm saying, brothers and sisters here. But what I'm saying is that look at their behavior. If they did it in one place, they could do it in another place. Therefore, back to what I was saying about the Rip Van Winkle, parable or metaphor. If they were to block off all of those waterways and water supplies get cut off, freight gets cut off, all the essentials of life, medical supplies get cut off, that means America in the West is going to be in for a long, cold winter. And on top of that, You got the whole potential for nuclear, weaponry going on, diseases going on. Don't forget about disease X that's out here now. They haven't even given it a name. At least a rememberable name. They just call it the disease X, whatever that's supposed to imply. But they say it's 20 times more lethal, than the one that they introduced to the world in 2020. The one that started in the laboratory. But they're saying this one is 20 times more deadly. And what better time to release it than, the time where they could hide it behind, people get sick in the winter. But if they cut off those supplies like they did over there, when they cut off those supplies in a world war, who do you think going to suffer the most, Israel? When there are limited supplies, not enough to go around, who do you think is going to suffer the most? Now that's your intelligence test. I'll give you about 3 seconds to answer it. You can put it in the comments. Who do you think we're going to be the last one to get the necessities of life if shit hits the fan in the United States? And if you said so-called black people, then give yourself, a badge of excellence. Because you are 100% right. And because many of our people like Rip Van Winkle got there, on some drunken state, looking for the next party, looking for the next ball game, the next celebration. You hear that? So that's an emergency warning. Very timely, praise Yahuwah. Very timely. We're in a state of emergency. Israel, I'm talking about. True Israel, not the fake ones over there. Stop confusing people who live in a landmass with the original people of the book. We're the original people of the book, not them, brothers and sisters, okay? Copper color, you know what I'm saying? Us, you, me. It's true Israel. Bloodline people. And what am I saying? If you're not prepped, if you haven't gotten your supplies together, you don't have food, you don't have water, you don't have a bug out place. You're not aligning yourself with like-minded people who are taking the necessary steps to prepare themselves when this shit hits the fan, and it is coming. You don't have to believe it. Rip didn't know what was going on. Rip was asleep for 20 years, just like so many of our brothers and sisters right now are asleep. They have not been paying attention for the last 20 years. Now, if you've been a follower of this channel, then you probably know a little bit about what I'm talking about, because I've been talking about it for the last at least 15 years, give or take. Get in shape, get ammunition, get, weaponry, things to defend yourself, build communities, get a covering. You've heard me say this time and time and time again. And I know a lot of our people, you look at these channels and you, like Rip Van Winkle, you're in this drunken stupor. Well, it don't matter. Well, it don't matter. We got to die some kind of way. Well, if I die. Brothers and sisters, go over there. You can't go over there. But I guarantee you there's not a Palestinian over there right now who's going through the hell that they're going through, sitting there talking about, oh, well, if I die, I just die. I guarantee you they're not saying that. See, it's easy to say that or make that statement when, nothing is happening to you. But when you see your children suffering, you see those who you love who are sick and can't get medication suffering. You yourself who may be sick and depending on certain medication can't get it suffering. Do you know how it feels to die of thirst? Think about when you're so thirsty you need water, you can't even sleep, you can't breathe. Think about what it would be if you could not get water and you were suffering to the point of death. The pain that your body would go through, the convulsion that your body. And I'm not saying this to make anybody horrified. And again, this is real talk, real time, things that are about to happen. And since the news is going to give you all kind of conflated BS, some narratives that, just flat out lies. Now, they're just saying pretty much any damn thing. Make the lie big, repeat the lie over and over, the people will believe it. We've all heard that already, right? So all your news media is going to tell you about, oh, they blew up their own hospital. Oh, they're doing this and they're doing that. And this is not, brothers and sisters, if you can find the truth, I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, that's where you need to stay and spend your time. And I say it's two places. Those who are called by Yahuwah, like myself, and others, not just exclusively Brother DFG. Because we're going to tell you the truth, because we're going to go before Yah, and what Yah tells us, we're going to go to the book, we're going to confirm it in the book, then we're going to bring it back to you. That's what this channel is about, in the time messenger. And then you can always go to the book yourself, talking about the Tanakh, the Torah. Yah will reveal it to you if your heart is right towards him, if you're in a repentant state of mind. Were we not told by King Solomon in 2 Chronicles 7 and 14, if Yah's people who are called by his name would humble themselves and pray and seek his face, turn from their wicked ways. What is wicked ways? Wicked way is not just violating the 10 commandments or the really 600 some odd, laws, statutes, and commandments. But it's not just thou shalt not kill, and thou shalt not steal, and thou shalt not commit adultery. There are commandments about selfishness. There are commandments about silence, keeping quiet in times of trouble, goes against it. There are commandments that go against using poor judgment, not treating people fair, for being hateful, for being bitter, for being vengeful. Our book, Isaiah 54:17. I don't have my saw and hammer with me right now because, as you can see, I'm out in nature. But Isaiah 54:17 says, what? Vengeance is mine, says Yahuwah. He'll repay. Now, what does that mean? That conflicts, or that a contradiction to Psalms 144? The strength of Yahuwah teaches my hand to war, my fingers to fight? No, it's not a contradiction. It's just simply saying, one says prepare yourself, strengthen yourself for the battle to come, and the other is simply stating that if you live your life in hatred and resentment and bitterness, you're going to live a very, very low-level life. Don't worry about vengeance. You know what I'm saying? Spend your time, in the presence of Yah where he can strengthen you. Spend your time in the presence of Yah where he can guide you, where his word will be the light for which you can walk. Spend your time in unifying, coming together with your own people. Because when this thing gets really bad, that's where you're going to have to turn for real help. And for those of us who hate each other so much, who hate your people so much, you think that the enemies are going to be there for you, then you better go back and read Psalms 83. Because Psalms 83 reminds us that all of our enemies, all over this flat earth, the enemies of Israel, if you're Israelite, your enemies, my enemies. What did he say? They are confederate against us. They're going to create confusion. They're confused. Because that's what you see going on now in this government. Just total confusion. If there was ever such thing as a shit show, that's a shit show. Republican shit show, Democratic shit show, a legislative shit show, an executive legislative shit show, and a financial showdown, that's about to go down. That's going to impact every single person. And again, let me remind you one other thing, my brothers and sisters. I've said to you before, Yah has put them all. Get your money out of these banks. I knew. Okay, that's it. That's all I got to say about that. You can leave it in there. My voice as Yah's messenger, one of them, is to warn his people. And again, Psalms 83 says they are confederate against Israel. They hate Yahuwah. They hate it. That's why they hate these channels. They hate us talking about the Creator. They despise it. Even our own people, many of our own people, they hate channels like this. They really, really do. That's why they won't subscribe. That's why they'll unsubscribe. That's why they don't attend the studies. Because they don't want to hear the truth. They want to be like Rip Van Winkle. They think they could just entertain themselves off. They think they can, be in some drunken, state of mind and it'll all go away. Or they can, even worse, I ain't going to do nothing, Yah knows my heart. Well, we've already go. Again, Jeremiah 18:11. Yeah, he does know your heart. But he said your heart is measured by your actions and by your behaviors, not by what you think. He said your heart is measured by what you do. So what are you doing? What are you doing for the kingdom? What are you doing with your life that Yah will look at your life and call you honorable? Look at your life and say, no, she or he needs to be redeemed. What are you doing? And please don't tell me by faith. Thou shalt confess with thy mouth and believe in thy heart. Brothers and sisters, go read Romans 16. I don't normally tell people to do that, but you're going to find out for that they claim that old Apostle Paul wrote the book of Romans. You go read Romans chapter 16, you're going to see that somebody else wrote it on behalf of Paul. And then you'll find if you do some real research, you know Paul ain't Paul. Paul ain't Paul. Y'all heard me say it before. Oh, but then if you go to Romans chapter 7 and 8, you'll hear how Paul talks about how wicked, wretched, untrustworthy he is. So why would you take his word for trusting and believing, and by faith you are saved? Or for that matter, James or whoever else said it. When Yah says that those who keep his commandments, those who obey his commandments, Deuteronomy 28, that's who he's going to bless. That's who he's going to strengthen. That's who he's going to redeem. But the heathens came up with another book and told our people to believe that book as though our creator was a liar, or that he was so effeminized he could not say something and make what he said come to pass. Although if you read Numbers, again, in your Torah, Numbers 23 and 19, what did he say? What did Yahuwah tell Moses? He said, Moses, he said, if I tell you something, I'm able to perform it. He said, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. He said, Moses, I'm not a liar. I'm not like a man. And neither am I some son of a man. So that's for all those who claim Jesus is the Son of God. Go read it for yourself. Don't take your brother's word for it. But see, many don't like this kind of teaching. Or they'll accuse me, oh, you got a hat on. Where your fringes at? My rebuttal to them is, where's your sense? So you really think that Yah would shut me down from sharing with his people because I have a hat on or a cap on? That if I take the cap off somehow or another, you know, Yah will come back and say, well, thank you for taking off your cap now, brother DFG. So now I'm going to speak to you. Yeah, you can look all through the written drawings of the men of Moses and Abraham. Did they not have their heads covered all the time? But those who know they were living in areas that some would call deserts today, you'd have to have your head covered. A lot of them were bald. Elijah was bald. That's why those kids was teasing him. Go bald head, go bald head. And then he sent them 70 bears to eat their little asses for mocking their elder. But see, we get caught up in the weeds sometimes, my dear brothers and sisters. We get caught up in distractions. Like Rip Van Winkle, we are aloof. What did Solomon say in Proverbs chapter 1? How do the simple love simplicity? How they love it. How do the simple love simplicity? They don't want to think. They just want the easy way out. I don't want to work hard. I just want to be repetitive. I just want to recite something and call myself intelligent. True wisdom comes from above. True wisdom allows us to see the hidden things that are right in front of our eyes. We were told again in the wisdom of Solomon, or the Songs of Solomon. It's the small foxes. I think it's Songs of Solomon 2:15. It's the small foxes that spoil the vine. In other words, it's the things that you don't think matter, brothers and sisters, are the things that matters the most. Like prepping right now. Like not depending on this government to come to your rescue if an EMP strike happens, similar to what happened in Palestine, on the West Bank. When there's no power, no food, no water, no resources. No protection for some of you. Because you won't listen. Because you think we're trying to scare you when we're actually trying to warn you. Again, this is what I'll say to my brothers and sisters. Look, you got a government that's in total array because Yah is judging it. That's why it is. You're thinking that they're just a bunch of imbeciles. No, Yah is judging them. He's been judging them for 20 years since, to be honest with you, since 2001. Right now we're what? 2023. So 2 decades, just like Rip Van Winkle slept for 20 years. Think about it. Obama, right? Then after him, Trump, and then Biden. Idiots. All of them, idiots. Why would that be? Why would they allow idiots to run a country? Because they already know this country is this thing is done. This is over with, brothers and sisters. It's been over with. Like a ball game, like they were saying, it ain't over, if the game is not over till the fat lady sings. How many of you guys are familiar with that little metaphor? The game is not over till the fat lady sings. There's always a chance until the final bell. Well, listen to me, brothers and sisters. There ain't no fat women over here. So just let this gray-haired man tell you, party's over. The party's over. Get ready, brothers and sisters. It's about to happen. And I'm not talking about years from now. Brother, we're at a state, whatever's going on out there around this earth that they're going to do, they have to do it. The West has no choice but to let this war go down, because that's the only way they can break up BRICS, brothers and sisters. They have to do it. They have to create confusion. They have to be a disruption. This thing is going to spread. Hezbollah right now in Lebanon is already talking about they're going to help Hamas. You got so-called Iran over there, Egypt. All of them are now getting together and saying, oh, hell no, this don't go. Hell no, we won't go. Like that shout when they was talking about the soldiers from Vietnam. Hell no, we won't go. Well, they're saying, oh, hell no, y'all got to go. Talking about, the West, including the state of Israel, pretending to be who we are, and they're not. Although they're lying, and they got many of our people still duped in believing that, non-melanated white men and white women are the Israelites. Why? Because you got told that. If you were studying with us in the study group, you would already know. We've been gone over that and showed all the facts, the characteristics, the actions, the judgments, the blessings, the curses, the kings, even to the point of describing color. The peril of that particular people. And brothers and sisters, that fits you. If you're melanated, wherever you are on this flat earth, that's you. If you're Israelite in bloodline. Not talking about Hamites and Canaanites and all of that, the so-called Africans and Australians, Aboriginal people. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about bloodline Israelites everywhere. Some of us are maybe Puerto Rican, some of us may be Jamaican, some of us may be Trinidadian, some of us may be Nigerian. A lot of us probably Nigerian, South Africans, from the United Kingdom, without question, the United States. Brazilian. We're everywhere. But there are concentrated groups of us as well. Probably those of us who came through the transatlantic slave trade. Because we came right out of the slave coast, as you know, which was formerly, the kingdom of Judah. Now called Ghana. And Nigeria, Negro land. And Niger, the little word nigger, Niger, Benin. All those are areas right there on the Horn are the west coast of Africa, upper west coast of Africa, and South Africa. Some down there too. We went everywhere. But there are also areas where we're concentrated. You're the people. The book talks about you, brothers and sisters. The book is about us, not about them. So for my brothers and sisters that your pastor over there telling you raising money for Israel and all that, you need to tar and feather his ass and throw him out the church. Her too. They are intentionally lying to you, or they're too ignorant to be talking to you. And they're damn sure not your shepherds. Because a shepherd watches out for the people by making sure they're safe. Anytime someone will perpetuate a lie because they're getting paid to do it, that is not a shepherd, that is a wolf. We're the shepherds. We're the truth tellers. And you just heard the truth for the last 34 minutes plus. So get ready, get prepared. That's the core message here. Get ready. The war drums that you hear are real this time. This is not to scare you. This is a time to warn you. Come out from among them. Repent if you need to. Come out of idolatry. Come out of religion. Get into your Torah. Get into the Tanakh. Learn about yourself. Learn about your Elohim. Prepare yourself for his return. Ain't no ships coming. That's foolishness. Yah is coming. And he's coming with vengeance. He's coming in anger. because of the rebellion of his people and the hatred of the nations around this earth against his people. Again, Psalms 83. Now, where is he going to find you? That's the question. When he comes, what is he going to find you doing, brothers and sisters? Are you going to be like Rip Van Winkle, sleeping under a tree in a drunken stupor? Are you going to be standing with like-minded men and women, doing Yah's will, working for the betterment of Yah's kingdom, so that when the transition comes, you just transition from this state into his state? Smooth, cool, dry place. Like some of our loved ones are sitting right now who had a heart for Yahuwah. And their behavior linked up. It wasn't just about the belief. We knew they were good men, good women. They loved the Most High because they did the work of servants. They cared for the needy. They cared for the poor. They did those works. They didn't just talk about it. They were being about it. Like all of us have to be. But now with all this truth, my brothers and sisters, there's no excuse. No excuse for ignorance. What did Hosea say? Y'all people, Hosea 4 and 6. Yeah, he said, Yahuwah's people perish for a lack of what? Knowledge. What does that mean? When the truth came or knowledge came, they chose to be doing something else. They chose to look the other way. They chose to, find a tree and go to sleep under it. They chose the easy way, never realizing that it was the way of destruction, damnation. So I don't want that to happen to my brothers and sisters. I love you too much for that. That's why I'm here. And until Yah cut us off, and that day is probably coming pretty soon, I will be here. And I can attribute that to many of my brothers and sisters as I wrap this message up for those who are supporters here, those who donate to this channel. You help the work. And if you don't think that you should be helping and doing the support of these channels, then you need to go back and read your Torah. Go back and read the Tanakh. Go back and read the book of Tobit, chapter 4, verse 11. It talks about how Yah will bless us when we bless one another, or a blessing to each other. Go read Proverbs. We talked about that at the Bible study the other night, about a virtuous woman and how valuable she was. And Judith, a sister who took that virtuality and put it into action, saved her people. The book of Judith, chapter 8. We are a work in progress. But a work in progress is a proactive progress, a proactive work, a proactive people. You have to be doing, not just talking about doing, brothers and sisters. And labor, men who are in the fields, who are laborers in the field like myself, yes, we do count on you, and you count on your support. And we're not ashamed to say it. At least I'm not. All right? So keep that in mind as you think about, the things you're doing. And I guess I'll say one more thing in regards to that. If there are people all over the place, I know asking for your hard-earned resources. I respect the fact that you're saying, no, I work too hard to just throw my money, put my money in bags with holes in it. And you're right. But don't let that apply to those who are helping and teaching and benefiting. If you're learning and you're being informed and you're being educated and you're growing, and you see their behavior and their behavior is consistent, then that's where you put your resources, because that's where you're going to get return from. Yah will bless you for that, okay? But no, don't waste it. Everybody's acting you shouldn't be given to. I agree. But there are those out there who are really doing the work, genuinely doing the work. Those are the ones you need to make sure you do everything in your power so that they can continue in that work, because you know it benefits all of us. Because we're unabashful honest. Even if that honestly means we got to take a kick in the ass. We got to walk what we talk to. But at least we're here, and we're not afraid to say the truth, and we will stand for you to the end. At least I know I will. I can speak that first person. All right? So that being said, in regards to the Bible study, by the way, a great Bible study. Thank you for all of those who were there. I know some were probably wondering, okay, is he going to do a follow-up? Brothers and sisters, there have been times I've done it. But Yah's placed it in my heart. He said, I'm not I guess the easy way I can explain what he's telling me is that he's not calling me to be, a repetitive evangelist, for lack of a better, that's the only way I can say that. So in essence, it's live. If the Bible studies will be what we hear, And you know, and if you're there, you'll be, I hope, enriched. But no, we won't be doing, you know, overviews of the Bible study going forward, because this is a current year, and I have to do what he asks me to do. I have to say what he tells me to say, and if he's not telling me to go repeat yourself, then, you know, the following day, then I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be in rebellion. I'm not going to get caught up, you know, in you know what I'm saying, showmanship. I'm more interested in letting Yah guide my tongue, letting Yah guide my heart, letting Yah bring forth the word, letting Yah bring forth the truth. So the Bible studies will be live Bible studies, conference call, that you guys know by now. If you don't know, conference call. The number's in the About page. But, you know, no, there won't be any follow-up messages for the Bible studies. Because, you know, if you're to be on the Bible study, you'll be there. You know what I'm saying? Because tomorrow's not promised to any of us. And sitting there saying, well, you know, I ain't going to listen to it now, I'll catch it tomorrow. He'll do a follow-up on it. I'm not saying never, but that's going to be Yah's calling. But from what he's telling me, I don't see that happening. Okay? Just so you know. So I hope that inspires you to be with us. If you can. Can and you can. But that saying, brothers and sisters, you know, I'll end this message where I began. You know, and that is, blessed be Yahuwah, who teaches my hands to war and my fingers to fight. In essence, my brothers and sisters, he's telling us the war is coming, the battle is about to begin. Get ready, be prepared. And the best way to fight is fight knowing that Yah has got your back. And he has your back when you keep his commandments, his laws, his statutes, his Torah. Okay? That being said, you know, Yah willing, I'll be back tomorrow on Shabbat. But until then, be careful, brothers and sisters. Remember, it can happen at any time. Don't get caught aloof. Don't be like Rip Van Winkle, you know, hanging out, you know, under a tree having a drink, when you should be chopping down a tree so you can have some firewood in case your electric goes down. Yahuwah Shalom. It's your brother, DFG.